The DA says it wants Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana to slash value-added tax for some food items in order to lower the food price burden for households. The party says it also expects Godongwana to show how Eskom's debt will be dealt with. Our business editor Xolani Mbanjwa spoke earlier with the DA spokesperson on finance, Dion George.
As the hour draws near for Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana when he delivers his medium-term budget policy statement, we continue to give you reaction and expectations from political parties that are represented here in Parliament. And I'm not alone. I'm joined by Dr. Dion George, who is the spokesperson for finance in the Democratic Alliance. Dr. George, thank you very much for joining us. What are your expectations as the DA? We heard the alternative budget you presented yesterday in terms of what you wish to see in this mid-term budget. Summarize it for us in the top items that you would like to see.
Well, we all know that the minister is in a rather tight spot because it's a government-induced problem we have in our economy because they've mismanaged it for such a long time. But we are looking at what the minister is going to say in terms of growth. How are you going to get our economy to grow? How are you going to make it easier for business to operate so that more people can get into jobs and we can get more revenue into the fisc? So that's the one thing. The other thing we're going to be looking at is debt. Government has been saying it's going to cut debt over the next 3 years. We want to see what the minister has to say about that. We are hearing that there is this plan to add Eskom's debt to the national balance sheet, so it will make debt go up, not down. So we want to hear from the minister what he has to say on that. Also, very importantly, we know that people are battling with the cost of living spiraling at the moment. What is the minister going to do about that? We don't think that he should wait until February to announce emergency measures, for example, cutting VAT on a broader basket of items, because people are suffering at the moment and there must be action. Also, we want to know what the minister is going to be doing about corruption. We see the Zondo report, we see the response to that, a very tepid one. We see that South Africa may well be grey-listed in February next year. We want to know what he's going to be doing. He needs to put more money on the National Prosecuting Authority in the first instance, and he also needs to make sure that the process works so that the Financial Intelligence Centre identifies corrupt transactions and then has them investigated and then fines people and puts them into jail. That's how it's supposed to work. It isn't working. So we want to hear those fundamental things from the minister.
You've spoken briefly about what the DA presented yesterday as well in terms of cutting VAT on a basket of goods. Of course, the midterm budget does not introduce new taxation or new tax policies, but that happens in February. What exactly would you like to see, and what basket of goods, what are the items that are in that basket?
Well, the medium-term budget policy statement does set the policy tone that we see in February. So it sets the policy and then we see some more action in February, hopefully. But we believe, because it's an emergency and it is urgent and it's critical, that government can actually act now. But what we've proposed is that we should have more food in the zero-rated basket. We believe that we should have bone-in chicken, we should have beef, we should have tinned beans, we should have tea, coffee, margarine, peanut butter, baby food. And the reasons for that is because it will introduce more protein into people's diets. What's happening is 81% of households are now saying that they are actually having less food on their table. We have South Africans that are going to bed hungry every night, and we have people in our country who are starving. Now, that shouldn't be happening because we are not a poor country. We're only poor because government has mismanaged our economy. So instead of them thinking about putting money on the state-owned enterprises, should rather be focusing on how we're going to alleviate the plight of people who are battling now. Also, the basic income grant, the DA has proposed a conditional basic income grant. It is possible to pay for it and to reduce VAT on the basket we've proposed if government prudently manages our money and doesn't give additional bailouts. That's what we propose, and we'll be watching very carefully to see what the minister has to say.